First tonight, lawyers for Ghislaine Maxwell, the imprisoned accomplice of the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, say she'll speak fully and honestly, but only if President Trump grants her clemency. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. She refused to answer questions from members of Congress in Washington on Monday, exercising her right to avoid incriminating herself. The U.S. House of Representatives Oversight Committee published a video of Ms. Maxwell's hearing on social media.
Did you, at any time, play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
She must remain silent because Ms. Maxwell has a habeas petition currently pending that demonstrates her conviction rests on a fundamentally unfair trial. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there is a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Only she can provide a complete account, and some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters.
As expected, Ghislaine Maxwell took the fifth and refused to answer any questions. This obviously is very disappointing. We had many questions to ask about the crimes she and Epstein committed, as well as questions about potential co-conspirators.
Do you think that Britain's royal family has questions to answer to your committee?
Well, we would love to hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add, Andy?
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing, and that's one thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Just to be clear, what her attorney said, Maxwell didn't say. Her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about Clinton and
but he went on to expand that. The other thing is he pointed out a number of times that she has a habeas corpus petition pending for a new trial and release, and that's why she is not going to answer questions.
What we did get was another episode in her long-running campaign for clemency from President Trump. And President Trump could end that today. He could rule out clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. He could rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. The question for all of us today is, why hasn't he done that, and why won't he do that?
But I am here to tell you that House Democrats, specifically on the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee, as we do have Pam Bondi coming before us here in a minute, we will not be deterred. We will not be distracted. We know who it is that needs to be held accountable, and we will go in and we will make sure that we continue to dig. This will not stop us because his co-conspirator decided that she was going to try to play games with us this morning. I got news for you, Ms. Maxwell. We're not done. We're going to continue to go.
There are now at least 9 or 10 other countries across the world that have opened investigations or forced their leaders to step down because of their mere association with Jeffrey Epstein. And the United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it. And the person who is living to provide the evidence, who knows what is going on, is trying to invoke the Fifth to buy her clemency. So let's be clear on what we saw here today. This was an effort to essentially try to secure her pardon by keeping her mouth shut. And we will not allow this silence to stand.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from New York by Arise Special Correspondent James Blue. Good to see you, James. Tell us how Ghislaine Maxwell presented herself in the deposition room when lawmakers from Congress attempted to question her as part of the inquiry into the Epstein sex offender network. I understand she opted not to speak in order not to incriminate herself.
Yeah, good to be with you, Charles. It turns out Ghislaine Maxwell sort of had this sort of theory of the case that she has all the secrets that can still be revealed. And in order for those to be unlocked, she's seeking clemency from the President Trump. So in order to sort of protect herself and to protect this sort of information that she has, she basically took the Fifth, that's the Fifth Amendment, and that she doesn't say anything that would allow her to incriminate herself. And as a result, she didn't say anything during the entire interrogation and deposition. So it was very disappointing.
Indeed, and we understand, though, that the Justice Department is now allowing lawmakers to view the unredacted Jeffrey Epstein files, which they're supposed to be doing today. What do you reckon they'll be looking for?
Well, I think, Charles, one of the things that's been very, very surprising about these files, I think there are 3 million pages that are being released. And the thing that's probably most surprising to me are just the bold-faced names that appear in these files. Deepak Chopra, obviously, Lord Mountbatten, Andrew Mountbatten, Bill Gates, all of these sort of people who are some of the most powerful people around the world who were sort of at the door of Jeffrey Epstein, Larry Weinstein, Les Moonves, the former president of CBS, Bill Clinton. And they all were sort of in his orbit, and the nature of their sort of relations with him, he was a bit of a guru. Some of them went to him for advice. They went to him for trying to understand what they should do with their lives. Or in the case of Bill Gates, they went trying to understand what he could do to try to hide the fact that he had a venereal disease from one of his liaisons, and he was trying to prevent his wife from getting that same disease. And so you can see the range, and I just think there's a lot of surprise at the level of the business leaders, political leaders, and those others who have interacted with Jeffrey Epstein.
And I understand, you mentioned the Clintons there, James. I understand that the Clintons have insisted that their testimony be delivered in public, so that means that quite possibly it'll be televised live.
It's possible that it can be televised live. What the Republicans are trying to do is they're trying to develop and get the biggest battering ram that they can against the Democrat. And in many ways, testifying live would sort of pop and burst that balloon. So I think the Republicans are going to very much oppose them testifying live and in public. And this might lead to the Clintons actually not coming forward to testify. We'll see, but that's supposed to happen at the end of the month.
So what can we expect next in this long-running investigation into Epstein and his influential connections? Because Ghislaine Maxwell has not given any answers, and Todd Blanche, the U.S. Deputy Attorney General, has said no more files will be released. Where is this investigation now going to lead to, and what do you reckon can happen next?
So it's very important, Charles, and this is, I can understand why you would be mistaken. There actually is no investigation. There is actually no sort of criminal investigation into Epstein, he's obviously deceased, but into the men who were around him. There's no actual investigation per se. What we have now is that these documents are being released and we're learning a lot. And one of the clips that was just on in the package there, why is it that countries around the world are investigating, but here in the United States, we have a number of people impacted, a number of people who've been revealed, and there isn't now an investigation. So I think Representative Massey and Representative Khanna, they're a Republican and a Democrat. I think they're going to continue to press. Representative Massey said he's going to reveal names of people who are high up in the U.S. government and U.S. business communities. He's going to reveal those names to the public. And so we don't really know where it's going. I will say within the last hour, some names have been released. These are names that I don't recognize, but they're of very different nationalities. There's some Russians on the list. There's some Italian names on the list, but there's no one who sort of stands out. And I'm just looking at one list of 20 people. But Charles, there's a lot more to be revealed in the 3 million pages that must be gone through. But as of yet, no investigation, no chance of an indictment, but that could change.
Okay, stay with us, James, for this next story. A ransom deadline has passed for the release of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of an American TV anchor who disappeared from her home in Arizona 9 days ago. Law enforcement officials believe she was kidnapped, but they haven't named any suspects. In a video posted on social media shortly before the deadline passed, Savannah Guthrie said she and her siblings were at what she called an hour of desperation. In a statement, the FBI said its officers were working around the clock in an effort to reunite Nancy Guthrie with her family. Correspondents say the true crime saga of a breakfast television presenter and her missing mother has galvanized America, with the local sheriff's department saying a telephone tip-off line has received thousands of calls. And our special correspondent James Blue is still with me on the line from New York. James, what's the latest in the saga of the kidnap of Nancy Guthrie? Has the $6 million ransom been paid in Bitcoin as demanded, or are we none the wiser?
I think we're none the wiser. And again, it's Nancy Guthrie's mother who has been kidnapped. And I think one of the things that has been really quite extraordinary in this case is the way it's been the way it's played out in public. There's Savannah, the anchor of the Today Show, and there she is with her siblings. And they basically have been speaking directly to the captors, trying to make sure they sort of humanize their mother, trying to make sure they sort of make it much harder for them to harm and do something against the mother. Apparently, there have been some kind of contact between the kidnappers or the people who are claiming to be kidnappers and the Guthrie family. The deadline for the ransom has come and gone. We do know that Savannah Guthrie admitted that the family was willing to pay for the return of their mother. I think I have said to you, I used to work on the Today Show, and I know many of the people who still work there, and this is just a sad moment for everyone. Charles, one change and one thing we did learn, it was thought that Nancy Guthrie attended church on Sunday morning. It turns out she hasn't attended church for many years. During COVID, she started going to a friend's house, and they would watch the church in New York where her daughter Savannah attended. And so that was the last sort of place that she was sighted before returning home and then before the disappearance.
James, thanks very much indeed. James Blue is our special correspondent. He was talking to me on the line from New York.